Yeah,
Wow.
she and my daughter were best friends.
Oh, great.
Wow.
Well done.
Thank
And we
you.
stayed in touch.
Thank you for honoring her invitation.
Oh, she's such a beautiful person. We've loved her since she was little. Her whole
Wow.
family is wonderful people.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for being with us, Rhonda. And
I'm
it's
so
quite early
excited.
for you there.
Pardon?
It's probably quite early for you there.
It's only 9.
Okay. All right.
Great.
At first, Marwa said it's 4 p.m. And then I thought, I might want to check that. There it was. It was 9 a.m., so I'm glad I did.
Awesome. Beautiful. Hi, Nicolette. Thanks for being with us. And Jimena.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay. We may have acknowledged everybody who is here, even if you haven't had the opportunity to introduce yourself, you will. So I'm going to mute everybody now. And I want to welcome Richie as well. Welcome to the conversation. Great to have you here. And Ronke and Wakani, thank you so much. Oh, and actually it was Wakani's birthday yesterday. So let me, so if you want to send your greetings to her, happiest birthday, Wakani.
Happy birthday.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much.
The wishes from different parts of the world.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Good.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
And actually, you know, happy birthday, everyone, because every
Yes.
day is a new day to celebrate life.
I was going
and
to say, yeah, exactly.
Okay, go on, say it.
No, it
Say what you want.
It's a birthday for everyone. We all woke up and we're all here, so we're all celebrating a brand new day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so what I will do is, so if everybody can be responsible for keeping themselves on mute, part of the dignity of this space is that you have the opportunity to unmute yourself. I ask that you only do that after the speakers have finished their presentations so that you can express your appreciation and gratitude to them. And then keep yourselves on silent until it comes to the point of interacting with each other and interacting with them during the Q&A, okay? So to begin, thank you for being here today. Thank you for taking your time to be here for this wisdom conversation and for giving your energy to this space. We honor and acknowledge each one of you and would love that at some point each of you let us know who you are. I am Zaina Kanbai, the founder of South South Women. My voice is for unity and for progress. My voice is also for the values of consciousness, truth, justice, and fairness. And to add to that, my voice is also for adding value to people and value to the earth. And those values are along the lines of the South South Women values too. So let me tell you a bit about South South Women. South South Women is an international network of conscientious women and men from across the global South, engaged in wisdom sharing and impact work across the world. And we can hear today we have people from Argentina and the US and the UK and Egypt and Lebanon and Nigeria and Kenya, so, and Colombia, Anna. So each of us are doing work to influence a culture of acceptance, of inclusion, and of integration. As an African woman myself and an entrepreneur, I recognized that many of the voices of inspiration and setting the standard for aspiration, especially in Africa while growing up, were from developed countries and established economies. And so South Women is a platform to amplify the voices and role models from the global South. And that is who we see in each of the people who participate in these conversations. So focusing on action, focusing on impact, we build connections with like-minded people across different cultures. And in developing economies in particular, we aim to leverage our resources to create and participate in enterprising initiatives, okay, in any undertaking, whether that be business or whether that be a social project. And our aim is to contribute solutions and to provide access to role models and mentors in different sectors. So I would like to introduce now Ibiene Ogolo, who is the South Women Director for Public Relations and our pioneer influencer from Nigeria, to take us through the South Women values and code of honor. Ibiene is a reputable business and operations strategist, a wealth asset manager with over 21 years of experience. And she is the director of 2 companies in Nigeria, both relations and business development, and also the co-founder of VNR Partners Limited. But she's also a media and communications practitioner, and I encourage you to go and check out her classy online magazine, ibiene.com, which connects people to the hidden beauty of life under her own brand, ibiene.com. So, Ibiene, there you are. I'm going to do the part of sharing screen for you, okay? So you just take us through. And you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So excited to be here and to meet all of you again, returnees and new entrants. Welcome to this space of love. Welcome to this space of expression. And I will take you through the South Women values and our cores. As an organization, we stand on 3 tripods. Inclusion, wherein we engage and involve people from across a broad spectrum. So we do not segregate tribe, race, color of skin, religion, nothing. Everybody is included and everybody is taken into consideration. We stand also on the value of acceptance. We cultivate safety, security for people to feel embraced, so there is no shame here. We open our hearts and our spirits to everyone here. Some people would say that it is a vulnerable space, but it's a vulnerable space for us to be healed and for us to feel love. Honor. What we do is consciousness. So everything that is consciously right, we adopt and we promote.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to do...
Sorry, guys, I'm unable to share my own screen. So Zena is doing me the honor of sharing her screen on my behalf.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. No, wrong one again. There. Thanks for bearing with. I don't know what's happening.
I can read off my script.
Because I'm
okay. We also have a code of honor where we itemize that we stand for and never underride, or we never deride one another. As a collective, we honor each other's business, each other's profession, each other's integrity. We respect enterprise, we respect each other, we respect every single person who comes onto this forum and deal with them with care, with honor, and with respect. We speak the truth and we seek to understand. So these are our cores, and we welcome you to this wisdom conversation and hope that you will come with an open heart, with love, with kindness, and with respect, and receive things that are going to be discussed here, you will definitely be a changed person at the end of this conversation. Welcome and thank you for your time. We are honored to have you here, and we appreciate the fact that you have left all that you needed to do to spend this time with us. Thank you. Back to Zaina.
Thank you so much, Ibiene. I'm sorry that didn't go as planned.
It's fine.
Okay. So our wisdom conversations focus on subjects which help us build ourselves better, build our families better, build our enterprises better, and build the environment better. And this is drawing on knowledge and ideas and experience from different cultures. So welcome today to the wisdom conversation, Amplify Your Voice, Shifting Paradigms. Today's conversation is about causing a shift to a new paradigm on how we use our voices and for what we use our voices. Each of us is a voice for the truth of justice everywhere for everyone, and especially for those who need us the most. Just last night, I did an Instagram live about shifting the sex education paradigm for young people, shifting it from the influence of pleasure and gratification and pride and neediness and reproduction to the paradigm of a healing balance of masculine and feminine energy through the practice, the sacred practice of sexual energy transfer, which is governed by the understanding of that balance and our own essence. And I spoke this from a place of belief that currently it is unspoken, and we must be willing to gift this to our adolescents consciously now. So that was a new conversation for me, but somewhere that I truly believed my voice was needed. And so to introduce the conversation today, it is my honor to acquaint you with two powerful voices from Mexico and Egypt to lead us through today, both renowned influencers in their regions, in the leadership and learning sectors, two deeply authentic people who I am honored to know personally and who lead their lives from purpose and with integrity. I'll introduce both of them to you, and I know that their conversations will flow on from one another. First is Fernando Camacho. Fernando, you can wave to us. Fernando Camacho, he is the CEO and founder of Carrer, a communication and brand strategies agency since 2001. He is the founder of Crear Valor Initiative, a network of collaborative initiative across Mexico, and of Fuerza Central Orbita, a program for the development of leadership potential and team leadership. He is a businessman and a consultant in communication and leadership with over 26 years of experience. And he's worked with brands like UNICEF and Levi's and Oracle and Visa and Ericsson. So how fortunate are we to have you here with us today, Fernando? And what I'm really excited to share with you is that Fernando's speaking today, and South Women will be hosting a series of dialogues, roundtable dialogues with his organization Crear Valor to connect Africa with Mexico in the next few weeks. And so Fernando, I will introduce Marwa, and then you can start with the presentation, okay? After I introduce Marwa. So Marwa Kassem is the Director of Lifelong Learning for Impact at South Women. She's an educator at heart, and she's been delivering workshops for over 16 years to more than 10,000 people across 14 countries. So her experience ranges from high school students to teachers to CEOs to country directors and NGOs. Marwa is Egyptian. She's a trainer and learning consultant for leadership and life skills, and a subject matter expert on emotional intelligence and public speaking. It is our immense pleasure to have you here with us today, Marwa, as well. And I'm really excited to begin with this fabulous pairing across cultures between Mexico and Egypt, starting with Fernando, taking us through the wisdom conversation, Amplify Your Voice, Shifting Paradigms.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. It's really great to be here. As Zaina said, I'm from Mexico, and it's a really pleasure to be connected with people around the world, like really committed to make a change and really committed to amplify the voices regarding things that are gonna make a difference in our society. And it's needed, as everyone knows. And I really want to acknowledge these kind of spaces where positive thinking, where things are with a lot of people going on to make a better world and a better society. It doesn't matter in which country or in which continent or which culture we are. And I am really aligned with the values of South Women, and I am really passionate about consciousness, about honoring oneself and honoring our people and honoring us as society. And in these shifting paradigms, for me, there's a lot to do. There are a lot of opportunities for shifting paradigms, because the way we mainly or most operate are from paradigms already done, already dictated. And as Einstein said, insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. And sometimes we are not so aware or conscious about that. And we keep doing and thinking in the same ways and not open or conscious to think or to take different actions. And this is what it's about, what I really wanted to talk about. This can be a moment or we can do this exercise about listening to all what I'm gonna say and all what it's gonna be said from a different way, from a different perspective. And be kind of in an introspection or reflection about how we think and how we act. You know, like to break paradigms in which we think and we act. So to shift paradigms, it's very important to get on action, to move, because we spend a lot of time thinking. I don't know if you have happened, if this has happened to you, but sometimes you think calling someone and you say, I'm thinking to call Zaina. Yes, I should call her. Probably tomorrow I'm gonna call her, but you don't call her. So just like expand this awareness in which we all think and we all act. Because if we really want to make a change in anything in the world, in our lives, in our businesses, in our teams, we need to start changing ourselves. You know, like this program I give, Fuerza Central Órbita or Central Force Órbita, works, or it's the concept is in which one or me as a central force, we generate an orbit around in which everything goes around. So if you see the world, if you see your teams, if you see your business, if you see your life, if you see your family, a little bit more deep in conscious is to see that oneself is the author of what is going around oneself, and we can change from their things. But this needs a break to shift paradigms, no? And this is a huge challenge. This is a huge challenge because it has to be even with the brain, with how the brain works. there's a thing called neuroplasticity. That neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to form new connections and pathways to change or to do new things or different things, you know. And I want to share you this. I had an experience that disrupted my life, and my life was a totally different life after that. This was like a breaking point in my life. And this was the huge earthquake that happened on September 2017 in Mexico City. I don't know if everyone heard about that, but we passed through a huge earthquake. And that was a disruptive moment. And at some point, I was in the zone where a lot of things were going on, you know, like buildings fell down. We were trying to save people from the buildings that fell down. This was a really emergency situation. It was a very disruptive situation. We didn't know if our house was there, you know, like it was chaotic. It was really, I haven't lived anything like that before. But my point is, at some point, I was organizing to help people and to do things and to get things for people that need it and for places that need it. And I was with a family that has a son of 27 years old in the how do you say, Zaina, escombros? When a building fell down, the escombros.
The rubble. The rubble. The rubble.
The rubble.
Yeah,
So,
new word for me. Thank you.
The rubble. So thank you. So this 27 years old guy was in the rubbles, and I was with his family helping them, and they were coming to my place to get a shower in an instance, and I didn't have towels. And it was like kind of a stupid thing that I don't have towels. What should I do? I need towels. And when I said towels, like few minutes after, someone knocked at my door, like, and I opened, and this guy told me, I have something that people sent here to you. And I was, okay, what is it? 300 towels. So I received 300 towels. And this is kind of, come on, like crazy, like, you know, like we don't sometimes believe in these things that was a casualty or something like that. But like that little example, I can tell you thousands. And I discover and I start even studying how the mind operates. Because our minds, our way of thinking is very powerful. And we have a lot of potential. But that potential in which we visualize, I call this BEM. Because we visualize things, we express things in words or in thinkings, and we manifest things. That's a relatively new paradigm in which neuroscience has been focused on. Because there's a little bit a lack of believing in what we are capable to do. And each of us have a huge potential because our brain has it, but we haven't developed it. We haven't been educated like that. You know, like mostly in the schools, they teach us to read and they make us exams, but they don't teach us to think or to develop the thinking or the potential that we have to manifest reality. Another huge example is an architect. An architect can see an empty space and think, and that's a creative process. And an architect think about a building, and then in the time, he start to express it and make plans and actions, and he having conversations. And at one time, that building is manifested in reality. So if you can shift paradigms of acting and thinking in different ways, you can manifest whole powerful changes and all your potential as human beings. Chris Hadfield, the first Canadian astronaut that walks in the moon, said, "We are the only species on the planet that can build realities in our minds and then build them." So anything is possible from that perspective. So here is a paradox. And I think that in most of the things are paradox, but here is a huge paradox. It is not about what one wants. It is not about how I see the world, because nothing from what I'm saying now is the truth. It's just a point of view. It's my point of view. This is not the truth. This is not the real thing. This is just my point of view. And my intention is to share this because I have lived this and I have seen miracles and magic happen, and transformation, and a lot of things that were not going to be possible any other way possible. So the paradox here is that it is not about myself, or it is not about oneself. It's about others. It's about serving people. It's about put oneself at service. Because this little example of the towels, I didn't have any towels, and suddenly I have 300 towels. This happens because I was at service. I was for other people. So magic and miracles and results and things are when you are in service for others. And sometimes we don't realize that, because sometimes we are so trapped in our only fixed point of view that we close to listen or to be or to even connect with people, to connect with others. So if we all want to really make a difference in the world, as Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. If you are the change you want to see in the world, if you operate with integrity and with values, and if you think different, if you listen from a different perspective, if you open to different point of views, that there's no only one point of view, you can empower teams, you can empower organizations, you can empower companies, and you can create different things. And that's also very important, to have a purpose in life. Now it's kind of a trend topic, this of purpose. No? There are a lot of information regarding the purpose of a company, the purpose of to live with passion, to find your purpose. But it's really important, because when I did Crear Valor, this initiative, the main purpose of Crear Valor is to create value, to add value. If it's a business, to add financial value and add human resources value. If it's a family, to add value to the love that is already there. If you do something, just add value. And that's a very powerful conversation, because if you are doing things with a huge purpose as adding value, what you will manifest is value. And you will get surprised. But you need to think, you need to start making or go deeper in the conscious or the awareness that you have. Like, what am I thinking? What am I doing? Can I think different? Or even when you are with someone, if that someone thinks very different from you, you can just listen to that. Just like to be open to different things and to start taking different actions that can contribute or empower something. And believe me, you can manifest anything. And this is a whole new conversation, but it's different. You know, like the conversation that we have living mostly in the world is, no, that's not possible. No, I don't think that way. No, I don't think women can do that. No, I don't think men can do that. No, that's not. It's a no for granted. So if you open to really think different, anything is possible. We have lived that in the history of humankind. Like from the planet that the earth was plain, and suddenly we discovered it wasn't plain. A lot of things that were not possible for Mexicans, for example, or for Africans, or for women, now are possible. That wasn't possible. So with what I want to leave you is introspect, go deeper in your consciousness, and start like looking how I can think for what I want to manifest in reality, because it's possible just because I say that. And you don't have the result for granted. You don't have the granted result, but your possibilities or your advantages increase. So my invitation is to start thinking in different ways and go deeper in what really consciousness means and what really add value means, and start shifting paradigms. And you can make a little practice that it's start doing things different. If you write with your right hand, you can try sometimes to write with your left hand. If you brush your teeth every morning with the right hand, try one morning brushing with the left hand. If you always get yourself, when you always said, no, that's, and change that little word and just say like, okay, let's see how we can do that, instead of, no, that cannot be done. You know, like there are little things, but just be aware of that. And that's with what I would like to leave you.
So I'll allow you all to unmute yourselves, please, and express acknowledgement and appreciation for Fernando.
Thank you. If you have any questions.
Thank you. That was great. That was really excellent. Such a powerful way of thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Kato.
Okay, perfect. So we can mute ourselves again, please. And Fernando, thank you, because what you've brought to the table is a disruption of voice through disruption of thought. And disrupting thought means that we can be the creators of miracles when we are putting ourselves in the mindset or the intention of being of service. And we can create those by adding value. So we have a whole algorithm of power in our hands in this moment. And thank you for sharing that from the perspective of the Mexican experience. Because even though you experience that in Mexico, each one of us is resonating and we have a comment from this keeps we have a comment from Ana Martinez in Colombia. This is a great point. Magic happens when you are serving. And Beatriz Pomier from Argentina says, todo lo que siembras cosecha. So everything that we sow, we reap. So please do continue to share your comments on the chat as we go through this. And in the meanwhile, I would love to introduce some people who have joined us. So I see Isosa. Welcome to this conversation. Please do let us know where you're from. And thank you for being here. We have Richie. Richie, hi. It's always great to see you here. We have Ronke, who's another very powerful voice, joining us from the UK, and I'm sure you'll share some of your perspective with us in this conversation. We have Marwa Kassem. So Marwa, am I able to make the connection there?
Yeah, we're even wearing the same color shirt.
I know. All the Kassems today are wearing pink. I mean, and you're telling me that was uncoordinated. That's amazing. And you're in different countries.
Who's joining us. So thank you, Dad. He's in Egypt and I'm in Lebanon, so.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us and for showing your support. And to Rabi, great to see you back. Thank you so much for being here. And to all the amazing men who are standing behind a women-led initiative, we really, really acknowledge you and honor you for honoring us. And we have Hanan. Hi, Hanan. Thanks for being here. Madam, we don't see your video, and we're really grateful that you're here. Agus, who actually spoke in one of the South-South Women Conversations on the gift of challenge, a radio presenter from Argentina. Thank you so much for being here. Joy, amazing to see you. Joy is the CEO of one of the largest women's networks in Kenya. So thank you so much for being present today. It's really great to have you here. Danny Stone, welcome. Danny was our speaker and guest influencer at last week's conversation, Rethinking Enterprise. So if you missed that, the recording is online and it was a very, very powerful session. And hi, Nancy. Great to have you here. Thank you so much, everybody. And with those introductions, Kadzo. Welcome, Kadzo. With those introductions, I'd like to invite Marwa to take the stage.
Thank you, Zina. All right, here we go. Let's start. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to Amplify Your Voice, Shifting Paradigms. So I've started 4 companies and 4 marriages, and only one of each has lasted and is currently functioning well. Clearly, my top skill is failing, and my top strength is learning. As we can talk today about my story, it's basically about being lost and found, and lost again and again and again, repeated and repeated, till I learned my lesson, which is when we become self-aware, when we embrace who we are and who we are not, and reflect that in what we think, say, and do, everything aligns better, and we're able to live our best life. This is me. Let me start you with my story from the very beginning. I'm an Egyptian woman. I was born in Egypt and raised by Egyptian parents. This is 12-year-old me, and as you can see, from a young age, I love to learn. And it is that thirst for learning that led me to my current career many years later today as an educator. Although I graduated from university at the age of 19 with a political science degree in international relations, and I was top of my class and graduated with honors, yet I could not find myself for the first 7 years of my working life. I explored a number of fields during those first 7 years, from working at a USAID project as an economic analyst, to working in a ready-made garments export business with my father in the family business, to working in the Egyptian Prime Minister's office. And although I excelled in these various positions and professions, none of them felt like my true purpose. I was desperately seeking the achievement of my dream. What was my dream, you may wonder? Why, world peace, of course. And that dream is still very much what I go to sleep dreaming about every single night and wake up eager to achieve. Today, 30 years after this picture was taken, I believe I'm firmly on that path that I was destined for. Here's how I found my path. In 2004, I started a brand new career in the field of learning and development as a trainer of soft skills, including emotional intelligence, leadership skills, presentation skills, and public speaking, among many others. I came alive in the training room, and I would spend hours researching and preparing material for the training sessions. For I had finally found my passion and purpose. I quickly became an international consultant, and within a year, had started traveling across the Middle East to deliver my sessions, often to people much older than I was. Within 4 years, I had set up my first training company in Egypt, which was later followed by another one in Switzerland and a third in Egypt focused on enhancing corporate culture. Today, I've trained over 11,000 people on what I prefer to call life skills. They're really not soft skills at all. In fact, they're harder than anything you can possibly do technically. I've traveled to over 23 countries across 4 continents. And through it all, I realized that as humans, we're all a lot more alike than we are different. And we all wish to live a life of peace and prosperity. As my career flourished, my personal life crumbled. Over the course of 10 years, I've been married 3 times. My third marriage failed by the time I was 32. And soon after that, I was diagnosed with bipolar mood disorder and started seeing a therapist. Actually, I went to about 10 or so therapists trying to find out what was wrong with me. I love love, and I believe that it is one of the drivers for a life of fulfillment. So why couldn't I maintain it? Ultimately, I realized through many therapy sessions that I was missing an integral ingredient for true love, and that is self-love. I started to open my eyes to some deeply rooted insecurities. I realized through the years that I'd been unable to cultivate my own inner peace as I had outsourced that job to others. I became so attached to the approval of others as my lifeline and source of self-approval. I remember one particularly revealing exercise which profoundly shifted my self-acceptance and feeling of self-worth. My therapist asked me to dance in front of the mirror at home, alone in my room, with no clothes on. I recall how I tried to look at my whole self, but my eyes simply refused to go below my neck. I wasn't accepting that person in the mirror. True story. So I kept dancing and dancing and going back to the mirror to see myself. It was one of the most liberating moments of my life when I finally looked at my whole self and smiled. It took another 7 years of being alone and working on myself to finally understand how to be happy just being me. And let me tell you, that journey is still ongoing. I was able to find myself through my own voice, through finding it amongst the sea of voices around me. The voices of others, even though some were well-intentioned, wanted to teach me to swim on their own terms and towards their own preset destination. And no matter how hard I tried, I sank time and again. I realized at long last that my journey must start with being fully aware of who I am, accepting where I come from, and identifying where I want to go. And so I had my most profound paradigm shift towards achieving inner peace. When we are aware and accepting of ourselves, our decisions align with our true essence, and we grow more confident in ourselves and hence our choices that lead us to more positive outcomes. Today, on the personal side, I'm happily married after having found someone I can call a life partner who is both a husband and a best friend, someone who accepts me as I am and who I share my dreams with, someone who's here today, and I would love to acknowledge and support his acknowledge his support and honor his presence here. Hazem, thank you for being here. And on the professional side for my career, today I'm focused on helping others cultivate their own inner peace. I've recently launched my 4th business venture, which is a bilingual Arabic-English enterprise called Awareness Now, with the purpose of planting seeds of awareness, one person at a time. I believe in defining success using a more holistic approach rather than just one-dimensional. Accordingly, the brand encompasses all categories of being human for those who wish to pursue a life of meaning and purpose. Starting with your physical health, focusing on your future, pursuing meaningful work, belonging to a family, building your social network, embarking on a journey of lifelong learning, and achieving overall well-being. Finally, I would like to share with you, from these shifts to my own paradigms, some words of wisdom, which I've learned along my journey that have guided me on how to amplify my own voice. My first word of wisdom comes from Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, who wrote, "I can't go back to yesterday because I was a different person then." The wisdom I've gained from that is that we need to be kind to our complex, ever-changing, evolving, and transforming self. You know, I'm often asked by my participants in my training workshops, but Marwa, people really change? Can anyone really change? My answer is, well, look to nature. Is it not ever changing, growing, adapting, and evolving? Change is inevitable. In fact, it is desirable. Our very own human nature is meant to change and evolve as we grow. Otherwise, what's the point of trying anything or learning anything new? The key takeaway for me has been that change is constant. You can either use your energy to embrace change as an opportunity or use all that energy to resist the inevitable. Today, as we are challenged by the way the world is changing, think about how you will be a change maker and how you will use your own voice to impact that change positively. In one of my favorite scenes from Alice in Wonderland, Alice asked the Cheshire Cat, "What road do I take?" "Well, where are you going?" asks the cat. "I don't know," says Alice. "Well, then it doesn't matter. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there." I found tremendous insight into that through my own journey of trying desperately to go where others have wanted me to. Now, I realize that first I need to decide where I'm going and then ask for directions, advice, and guidance from others. The key for me has been to develop my own statement of purpose to guide my personal mission in life. My last wisdom comes from, one of the topics that I always use in my courses is Bob. And to really be Bob, you really need to be best of the best. And by being best of the best, it means that we reject mediocrity and we are able to really live a life of excellence driving us. And finally, my last wisdom comes from my favorite childhood poem, The Road Less Traveled by Robert Frost. And it ends with, "Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference." I realize today that although there are others who I share similarities with, but no one is exactly me, and no one can be. Finally, this is me again. And though sometimes I wonder if I'm the one on top or the one on the bottom, I'm an Egyptian woman, born in Egypt and raised by Egyptian parents. I'm a thrice divorced Egyptian woman who didn't give up on love and has finally found a life partner and is now happily married. I'm an international consultant and successful businesswoman with a mental health disorder. I'm a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a friend, and more. I'm a human who tries. fails sometimes and succeeds other times. That's my story, and it's ongoing. I invite you to share your own story. Own it, amplify it. Amplify your voice and use it to amplify those of others that are unheard and unable. Use your privilege of voice for good, because it's needed now more than ever. When inner peace grows, world peace becomes possible. Let's make this dream come true. We can only do it together. So let's start together. Thank you.
Well done, Marwa. Well done.
Oh, Marwa, that was beautiful. You really
Can you
tipped.
open the poem too?
Yeah, you just tipped all. Oops, sorry. I'll just. I think you've just thrown on its head everything that we have ever thought about in terms of a process. And there is no perfection in process. There is no shame in learning from mistakes. The path less traveled will always be the path that you're on if you're willing and daring enough to go there. And the fundamental question that you leave us with, how will we use our own voices? How will our voices be amplified in what the world requires today? And that's the question that Fernando was also asking us at the end of his presentation. And what I would love to do now, because we have powerful people in this audience with incredible voices, I would really love to ask each of you, even based on the comments that you shared in the chat, to unmute yourselves, introduce who you are, what you believe your voice is for, and share from there, share from that inspiration. Isosa and said that he's going to start brushing with his left hand. Definitely let us know when that happens, and if you can, send us a picture. And Wakani, and maybe we want to start with you, Wakani, because you were acknowledging Fernando for some of the valid points which he made. Are you available to share? The point that he made, which stuck with you, was, this is my point of view, not the truth. Perhaps you'd like to share that from a perspective that you've experienced.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you so much, Marwa. That was amazing. And what a powerful voice you have, actually. I mean, both of you said, what you're saying is basically the same thing, that we all have value, and we all add value through our voices, through what we share with each other, through what we have experienced in life. And what Fernando said, he said a lot of things that made so much sense to me as a storyteller and as somebody who is researching folktales in Africa and trying to understand what wisdom was there before and what part of that wisdom we're still living with today. What part of that truth is what's driving us to be who we are now. And Fernando said this, he said, this is my point of view. This is not the truth. And I almost wanted to raise my hand and say, that is your truth. That is your truth. It is not the whole truth, but it is part of the whole truth. And then you listen to Marwa and her story, her personal narrative, and what she's sharing with us is a part of ourselves. We are all part of that story. We all have aspects of what Marwa's story is in our personal narratives, as well as what Fernando was talking about. So in general, we all share this higher truth, and we're building segments of our stories are being used to contribute to the bigger narrative of the global truth. And as you said, Marwa, the time is now to amplify that voice, to bring it out, because if you don't speak your own personal truth, then it can't be challenged and it can't be heard, and therefore it can't be used. And I remember recently reading something that Maya Angelou had said about anger, and she was referencing the idea of justice and going out and amplifying your voice to speak out against injustices. And what she said, I don't know the whole phrase, but what she said was, if you're not angry, then you are either a stone or you're too ill to speak. But if you take that phrase, not angry, and you replace it with, if you're not telling your story, there is power in that. If you're not telling your story, then you're not alive. So your story is gone, and therefore you're no longer there, and therefore you're no longer participating in the bigger story. You may as well not be around, you may as well be a stone, or you may be too ill to speak, and therefore someone else needs to speak on your behalf. So the idea of stories, the stories that we tell, they are just as important as the energy that we give. They're just as important as the air that we breathe. So we are telling stories, we're breathing through these stories, and we're sharing something that is needed to keep the world going.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wakani, coming from a powerful indigenous storyteller herself. So lots of wisdom to share there. Thank you. And Nicolette, I know you had a comment, and I'd like to acknowledge you by having you share that and anything else that you have been inspired by this morning. Morning for you.
It is. I'm so glad that these conversations end up like happening on my Monday morning, and so it helps me to calibrate and be balanced for the rest of the week. So this is why I never miss any one of these sessions. But first of all, thank you, Fernando and Marwa, for sharing your stories. Something Fernando said, which was around what we envision, what we express, what we manifest. And then also what Marwa said around her being bipolar, which I'm not bipolar, but I feel like I'm a very sensitive soul in some ways. And things like injustice really throws me off balance, and then I'm not able to focus. And then, like Wakani said, then I become angry at all the injustice that's happening in the world. And it throws me even more off balance. So my question to you guys really is, what are the methods that you use when you are thrown off balance? How do you come back to a place of balance so that you can take productive actions to deal with whatever's going on?
Okay. Thank you so much for your question. And if between Marwa and Fernando, if you're ready to take that, please do. Yeah, Marwa, you're nodding your head.
Well, thank you, Nicolette, for all the wonderful insights and for your courage. I totally empathize with you on this. I am such a proponent of justice, and when I see something, it just, blows my top. One of the things that I've learned along the way is there's preventative techniques that help keep me balanced so that when something blows up, I'm a lot more calm. And one of those is maintaining my physical well-being. So obviously, like sleeping right, eating right, all of that good stuff. Meditation has been a savior for me in whatever format that comes to different people. But also surrounding myself with the right support system has been invaluable. Some of the people on this session today are my husband, my sister, my father, my best friend from university, my best friend's mother from when I was 12 years old. And just surrounding yourself with like-minded people has been also very important. I've turned off the news or I've limited it, particularly lately, to a great extent. And lastly, what I try to tell myself is just focus on what you can influence. Just because I can't do something doesn't mean, I can't change everything, but I can do maybe something. Taking care of myself is something that is useful. Taking care of the people that I love around me is something good. Advocate advocating is very, very important. And also, I belong to a charity called Helm, which is for persons with disabilities, and I feel like I contribute to that. So I always remind myself of the things that I am contributing to, and I try to maintain an attitude of gratitude every day. Those are just some of the things, and of course, we can get into it further because there can be a whole session about that. But those are just some of the things that really help me sleep better at night and control my anger to a large extent.
Thank you so much, Marwa. And I can see that as you're speaking, Rabi is adding some wisdom to that. And Rabi, I know you're posting on the chat. Would you be willing to share, for example, you added to meditation, change topic and go do something fun. And also you added about, trying to understand or checking in on what triggers you and work on that, not blame.
So in my opinion, anger is a positive thing, because if it triggers you, what happens right now, especially in the social media world, and we see what's happening in the US and what's happening in the world right now, we like to blame, not to take responsibility, because it's easy. It's very easy to blame someone else, but anger is all related to yourself. So if somebody triggers you, made you angry, it's all you. It's not it's fully your responsibility. And with the positive that this topic really triggered you, that means you manifested it for a reason. So if you believe in the law of attraction and LP, whatever you believe in, your belief system is, when you got angry, it was manifested for something that you need to work on. So everything is the two ends of the stick. If you're angry, that means it's an opportunity to see what do you need to work on. So it always has positive intentions. Everything that happens has a positive intention. Even the worst thing in life have positive intention. You manifested them for a reason. So do not blame, do not play the victim, do not be guilty, because it's just you're gonna go down in the emotional spiral until you crash. Take responsibility, see what is the message behind it, what the lesson you need to learn from it, and just move forward. And just don't, sorry for the word, so why do you care about somebody's opinion or somebody made you angry? Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Just enjoy yourself, learn, and move on. Nobody cares.
Thank you so much, Rabi. And I think your passion around who cares, what the fuck, it's what you're also pointing to is that to get to that place, you're saying do a bit of work. You're saying understand what the trigger is and spend some time with it. And then, as Fernando was pointing to, move from that point, move in action from that point. So
it's an opportunity, not a problem. It's a huge opportunity to get angry. That means the universe is showing you what do you need to work on. It's in your face. This person triggered you. It triggered you because it's true. If somebody tells you you're bad at your job and you get angry, it happened because you really believe it. Mm-hmm. If somebody tells me your Arabic is bad, I will not be triggered because I know it's not true. If somebody tells me maybe your English is bad, maybe I'll be triggered. Maybe it's true. Maybe I believe it's true. That's why it triggered me. The only reason I got angry because I believe it's true. So I should work on myself instead of blaming anybody else. And if I can be triggered this easily, I have so much work to do on myself to succeed in life. And that's why I see it as an opportunity to progress and to learn. That's it. And stop the blame, stop the guilt, and move forward. Work on it. Meditate, do hypnosis, whatever it works. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think more in terms of, and I think everyone in this room can be considered a leader. As I've said before, I sit on a lot of social impact NGO boards because I'm very passionate about seeing more social justice, etc. I think when I talk about anger, I don't mean more the fickle stuff. Someone said something to me and I'm pissed. No, I think it's more, why is there so much injustice? And like you say, maybe I could look into how we're overall contributing to it. But why is there so much injustice? It's 2020. Why do we have to talk about the same things we've been talking about for at least the last 60 years, at least since in my time? And just how do we, I guess maybe Fernando can help me with this. What methods can I employ in those times to calm down enough to be productive to the solution?
Mm-hmm. Fernando?
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm totally agree with what Marwa and what Robin Kanan had just said. but I want to add something else. If you know, like there was this architect that said, God is in the details. It was Miss van der Rohe. And this architect said, God is in the details. And if most of the times we don't focus on little details, and you can make some little practices, but if you continue to do those practices as you brush your teeth in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the night, and then again and again and again and again, you can turn those little actions into habits that can impact your inner peace or your point of, or your view of the world or yourself. And first of all, I'm gonna say this. In the world, there's light and there's dark. There are people like us talking about what's possible and what we can do and what change. And there are people having other conversations, but we are having these conversations. You know, there will always be the yin yang, you know, and that's the world. You know, we could not appreciate light if we haven't been through darkness. So there's always these two forces in the world. So don't fight with that. Just be present in which side you are, and just acknowledge all the little things that you've done. And there's another practice that is just watch nature. You know, like look at the little insects, look at the trees, and that can sound sometimes like a little naive, not like a kind of a hippie great idea, but it's a huge way to get connected with the planet, and it's a huge way to even connect with the energy of what surrounds us as the planet Earth. You know, like we are really disconnected with nature. So try to, next time you go out to the street, count how many trees are in your way to your work, on your job or whatever. Just see a plant, see a bird, listen to the wind, listen to the rain. Those kind of things that are kind of meditation are very valuable. And God is in the details. And also be really grateful, you know, like, because sometimes we are not so aware or conscious when we wake up and we go to have breakfast, and we are having breakfast complaining, I don't like these eggs. This milk is not so good that I think. But you have a table, you have food, we have the planet and the earth, and I can bet on all the people that are connected in this call. We all are very, very fortunate, and we live in a very abundant planet. And we have to work, we don't have to, but it makes a difference to see God in every detail, and to see beautiful, and to be grateful and acknowledge all what we have, you know, like we are alive. And when this earthquake was, I saw how in 1 second, a building fell down, and a lot of people lost their lives. You just have this second. So really work on that kind of awareness. Thank you, Nicolette.
Thank you, Fernando. So I would like to, Claudia Lozano would like to say something. After that, yes. I'd also like to ask Ana Martinez from Colombia, who had a point about mental health. Please, after Claudia, please say something. And I'd like to acknowledge Danny's point. Danny is the founder of the School of Success, and he says to Marwa's presentation, you know, adding to Marwa's presentation, there is no success without failure. So Claudia, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, Fernando and Marwa, for your extraordinary presentations, quite inspirational both. And both of you refer to learning new skills. And my question for you, because I'm a little bit curious, is standing at this point in time with what we are living, what do you consider are the competences or capabilities that we should develop just, you know, to be like in balance, as someone in the call was mentioned, and also to maintain ourselves in this journey of development and growing?
And Claudia, please introduce yourself. Tell us.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Claudia Lozano. Yeah, my name is Claudia Lozano. I was invited by Fernando Camacho. I live in Mexico. I'm from Colombia. I'm an expert in human resources, 18 years of experience, very focused on personal development, professional development, social matters, and well, more or less that's my background.
Thank you. So Fernando, Marwa, would you like to take Claudia's questions?
Thank you, Claudia. I think Marwa has the answer because it's emotional intelligence. So Marwa, what can you tell us about that? You are the expert.
Well, of course, when it comes to really putting a framework for being emotionally intelligent, which they do say it is responsible for about 75% of your success in life, it really does start with self-awareness. And from an HR perspective, in human resources, which is the start of my career was as a human resource consultant, and I worked a lot with corporate multinationals, and I found that sometimes it's not really it's not the most intelligent that necessarily get ahead and are the star performers, but in fact, it's usually those that are most adaptive to change, as Charles Darwin says. So adapting to change requires a certain mindset. Part of it is the self-awareness, managing your emotions, especially your negative emotions, motivating yourself. So part of it is definitely the self-motivation, and both those together, self-regulation and self-motivation, comprise the self-management part. And then it really comes down to communicating well, empathizing with others, and building effective relationships. So maybe, you know, we often want to build the effective relationship before doing anything else, or doing the work necessary to build up to that. So I think that's really what emotional intelligence comes down to. And I think that that's one of the core skills that everybody needs to learn, and that I think schools need to integrate. We talked about the education system, and in the HR field, you usually, you know, you can get rid of 50% of your problems if you recruit correctly. So when we recruit the right person that matches the corporate culture, that matches the values that we want, not just the job description, that's also quite crucial. And perhaps that can be something we can discuss further in coming workshops and sessions regarding enterprise and conscious enterprise as well, which Kelly Abor is one of our directors is a guru in.
Thank you, Marwa.
Thank you.
Claudia, was that to your questions have been answered? Excellent, thank you. So Ana Martinez from Colombia.
Hi. No, I was just, I just felt it was a coincidence that you were, I don't remember the name of the second speaker, was talking about, you know, mental health. And I just recently created a community in Colombia for Latin America, because it's Spanish speaking, to facilitate the life of people with mental disorders through empowering them, make them feel that they are not alone. But I guess my point there is like how at this moment in life you can just look back and understand why everything that has happened to you has brought you to a point where you can serve and you can give others. So for me, one of the big things was living for 20 years with bipolar disorder. and just like all the work that I have done in order to be in balance, tranquil, and in peace. So just like how you put that in service to others, all the work that I have done to, be self-expressed, be vulnerable, being able to just what you were saying, like be who you are, not what other people expect you to be. Be vulnerable, just watch every time you're trying to hide something from your story to others, because then you're not being yourself and therefore you're not free. So when you're not free, you're just not in balance, you are not at peace. All the spiritual work, whatever you believe in, is just how do you strengthen yourself in your heart, in that connection with there is something bigger, that you are not alone here, that is somebody's taking care of you in your hand, that you don't have the control of everything. It's when you just let go of, thinking that you have everything, is when you can be just at peace and tranquil and in balance. And then for me, a huge theme is creativity, like the power of continuously creating the life you want, the ideas you want, the projects that you want. So it's just kind of bringing back, when you just look back at that story that you've had and everything that has happened to your life, in your life, that's when you just also stand and say, okay, what is my voice? What is it that I have to share to the world so I can serve others? So for me, it has been like a very nice experience, and creating this community and putting my life in that, or in that sense. So I guess it's just like amplifying my voice. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Ana. Muchas gracias. And South Women is embarking on what we're calling our inclusion program, or our inclusion campaign. And this brings together voices from across the global South from people, and Agus is on that, and we have another lady called Hasti on that, bringing together voices to actually allow us to amplify their own experience, and how do they want people in society to be treating them. So offering advice and counsel and guidance from the voices of the people who are actually going through this. And we would love to engage you in that, because we want to be able to develop toolkits for companies, for friends, for family, from the voices of the people who are, either experiencing a mental health situation, or who are people who are differently abled. So that would be something that we would love to speak to you about, and to have your voice be part of.
Perfect.
Great. And so I would like to ask Ronke and followed by Kadzo to share from their experiences, and to build upon some of the comments that Kadzo has been making in the chat. So if we can start with Ronke, and then Kadzo, if you can.
Lovely to be back in this space again. Thanks very much for having me. My name is Ronke Kokorue, and I'm the founding director of I Verbalize, on a mission to empower, encourage, and equip women to speak up with courage, to speak up with conviction and with confidence, with clarity, and to really own their own voices, which is why I'm really, really excited about the conversation today, about amplifying our voices. And Marwa, the point that you made about us just realizing the privilege of the voices that we have, I thought really, really stood out for me. Because I think obviously with everything that is going on around the world at this time, the conversations that are happening, there is fear and there is anger, and there are lots of emotions that I think many of us, I know for myself personally, would rather not explore, and would just sort of want to continue with life. And we're being called to stop and to slow down and to reflect and to question and to be messy and to have those conversations and to have them with a purpose, for me, of moving the conversation forward. And that's what I'm really committed to, is helping to move the conversation forward, because fear and anger will be there. But what do we do with those emotions when it's all messy and broken? What do we do with those? And so that for me is something that is really, really, and I just was reminded, as somebody was just speaking recently, I think it might have been, I glanced very quickly, Kadzo, at your comment, and I was reminded of a story about a grandfather speaking to his grandson, who, I'm sure some of you have heard it, but, you know, he said, oh, you know, there are these two wolves. There are two wolves that are surrounding me, and one is focused on fear and anger and hatred and all of this, and the other is focused on love and unity and gratitude and all the good stuff. And the grandson asked his grandfather, which of them should I, gosh, let me make sure I get the question right, actually. It was something along the lines of, which one of them will win? Yes, it was which of these two wolves will win? Who will win the battle? And the answer was the one you feed the most. And so for me, I am determined to put my energy in conversations that will push forward the conversations around love. Yes, acknowledge the fear. Yes, acknowledge the anger. And I feel these things. I've got 3 children and we're having some really interesting conversations right now, my husband and our 3 children as a family, but with a goal of moving things forward from a place of love. So it's been great to hear all the variety of voices on this platform. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity just to share just what's on my own mind at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ronke. And you asked a question, with all of this, what do we do? So I would like to propose to you that with South Women, we create the answer to that. And perhaps we could do that through another wisdom conversation, but we can actually think about an action or impact-based response to that question. And if you'd be open for that, we can set up a conversation during the week with Kelly as well, and take it from there.
We lost you. We lost you. We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Kadzo?
Thank you so much. I just want to first start by saying, Fernando and Marwa, I just was so moved by your ways of thinking and approaching that, you know, were different, but also just came to a place of really taking us forward in the world. So I really enjoyed today. So thank you so much. I just, you know, responded on the chat to Nicolette's question, which is, what do we do? I live in the United States right now because love is blind and I had to follow a guy to this place, but I really come from Kenya. And we are, you know, our country is, as you know, in the news, just things are happening. People are out on the streets and people are angry and people are confused. So I, you know, felt Nicolette's question personally, because I've been, you know, friends are calling, what do we do? How do we get together? And one of the things that I think about is it's really about it's a question of deciding where we want to place our energy, because I think what's happening in the world is that we're watching 2 processes that are related. One is really that the systems and the ways of thinking, the paradigms that Fernando talked about, that we've had are failing us. And they're crumbling. And, you know, you just need to read my news feed on my phone or the newspapers every day to know that it's actually very efficient in how quickly and how totally it's coming down for different reasons, and particularly heightened with COVID-19 and the economic catastrophe all over the world. And then now this civil unrest in the United States. But, you know, that's a whole other conversation. But within that disintegration, we also have the beginnings of a consciousness that is very different. You know, I mean, this space, I would never have had an opportunity to, you know, be in real time with people from different parts of the world, different points of view. And and there are many places where that's happening. There are many places where neighbors are getting together and saying, what do we do? How do we meet our needs? There are places where people are coming together for women, for health, you know. In fact, through the COVID-19, while the political conversations were a little different, it's been one of the first times that the world's scientists have gotten together to just say, let's figure this out. And information has just been flowing back and forth. So even though that's not the narrative we've heard, there's been a lot of cooperation in terms of how do we move forward on the health perspective with this. And so that's the space where I think we're best served focusing our energy, because anger, it's actually, you know, I have a zoology background and now I'm in mental health, but anger is an emotion that just comes up to make something stop, you know. So, and most of our brain is like a primitive brain, zebra brain. We have a little part that sits on the top that's advanced, and anger comes from this primitive part of the brain. You know, when a mom zebra sees a big bird coming next to its calf, that information comes in to cause anger, to make her to move forward in a straight line and snap at the bird, right? But for zebra, it works really well. It worked when the bird flies away. If you go to her and say, you know, you know, that was a close call with that bird, she'll say, what bird?
Anatos.
And then with us, we tend to sort of dwell on what happened. But I think anger then becomes a distraction, and it keeps your focus and your energy from building the new spaces, the new movement. So I think wherever we are as individuals, looking for how to build community, connection, having conversations is really the place that we will have most impact with time. And that at some point when all our circles start to intersect, we will change the world without even realizing that we've addressed that. I don't know if that's helpful.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for that beautiful analogy. And Agus, who's in Argentina, is about to leave us. So I just wanted her, to ask if you would like to share something with us before you go.
Yes, thank you for all these meetings. I enjoy a lot. I enjoy all the stories and what they said to us to learn more from other people. So thanks for all, Zaina, and thanks all the people that was here and the last meeting and today too. And okay, we will see the next meeting. Thank you, and bye all.
Thank you so much. And Agus lives by a very firm mantra, which she has had ever since she was a child. And that is always forward, right? Siempre para adelante. So nothing is nothing
forward. All what you do and what you want, spite of I think about the rocks in the how to say that you have to pass on. So you have to think always and see and focus your objective and what you want to do and what you want to work on, and not think about what you don't have to do, or all the things that not how to say, not permitir, Zaina, allowed you to finish what you want to do. That's
beautifully stated. Thank you.
Thank you, and bye all.
See you.
See you.
And thank you for being here. Okay, so I want Richie, do you have anything that you would like to share with us, and Kelly, and then we can move to closing? No? Well, thank you so much for being here, for being one of the powerful men behind South Women. I see Omu. Omu's here. Hi. Hi, Omu. Feel free to share something. And Kelly as well, please, our Director of Cultural Diversity and Inclusion.
I just want to say thank you to Marwa and to Fernando. Fernando, there are many things that you said that resonated with me, and Katso and I were actually talking privately, saying, yay, Fernando, we were with you 100%. And Marwa, listen, I've lived for more than 30 years in the Arab world, and I remember the first time Zaina said she was going to talk about her life and her marriages, and I went, no, she can't, because my immediate reaction was, I wanted to protect Marwa, because I understand the Arab world so well, and the way that they would look at that. And then we talked, and she has taught me so much about coming out of shame and fear, and not living by other people's paradigms and expectations and judgment and criticism of who we are when we're all in a life process. And as she said from her Alice in Wonderland, what I was yesterday is not who I am today. And I am just so enormously grateful to have Marwa in my life, to be able to constantly remind me that there is no shame or fear in life. And women particularly have always been subjected to shame and fear. I always remember in Lebanon when I was very young, they used to say, what a girl does means she's a whore, excuse my language, and when a boy does it, he's a hero. So he is never shamed and put in fear for anything he does in his life, but a girl is continued, and whatever she does, the minutest infractions she may do in her teenage years will carry with her throughout her life. So I think it takes women from the Arab world like Marwa and other women who will stand up and say, I have no shame and I have no fear, and I am a proud individual. And she has her father's here somewhere. That man, I tell you, someone texted me and said, way to go, Baba Kassem. I don't know where you are, Baba Kassem, but I'm telling you, you are a superstar. You supported this young woman. You have done so much for her. And Hazem, her husband, who is on here somewhere also. Just two amazing men to come out of the Arab world and to actually be supporting and proud and shining lights themselves to do what they have done for Marwa. But Marwa, I take my hat off to you, because you are just like, not just in the Arab world, in any world, you are a bright, shining light. But I hope that she has not only taught me, but all women, that we are not allowed to be subjected to fear and shame when men are then created as heroes for the same infraction. So I think I want everyone to clap for Marwa, because I think this was an amazing talk. And I love you from the bottom of my heart, Marwa. As a woman, as an Arab woman, as just anything. I think I love Ebiene. I want to do what Ebiene does, you know? So I just thank you so much, Marwa. You've taught us all amazing things. And here I was sitting all morning, what is she going to talk about? What is she going to talk about? Because I wanted to protect her. I don't have to protect her, because she is just awesome on her own. And every Arab woman and every woman in the world should be so blessed to know this woman. Thank you, Marwa. Mwah! Big kiss.
Thank you. Wow, that is just thank you. I mean, not everybody on this session knows that the reason I'm here today on the South Women Network is because of Kelly, who I met very briefly here in Lebanon last November. Went to Kenya on her invitation. She introduced me to Zina, the founder of South Women. And here we are today, barely 6 months later. So Kelly is the great connector, and she is a kindred spirit who, when I met, we just clicked immediately. And it's just beautiful. This is just an example of what I meant by surrounding yourself with the right people and like-minded people that you you know, connect with and share the same values. Let's put it that way. So thank you, Kelly. You overdid it. I think with that.
I have to say, because I look, there Ibiane is here, who sat next to me in an event we had here, and I just wanted to have her attached to my side and never leave me, because there was a connection. Rabia, who I met 22 years ago, we have a connection. Ronke, who came and stayed in my bed and breakfast, and I didn't want her to leave ever. I wanted to make another whole apartment next door and move her in, because I didn't want her to leave. And Katso, who I've known through her family in Kenya, so, you know, these connections, I mean, when I met Katso, I cried when she left to go back to America, you know, because there is, the reason we're all on here, because we are these circles of light, and we are connecting, and we are sharing wonderful platforms of how to move the world forward, and how to become spiritually aware, conscious, as Fernando says. I mean, and Fernando, I don't know you. I don't know if I'll ever be in Mexico, if you'll ever be here, but I felt the same connection today when you were speaking as I have with Ronke and Marabia and Katso and Zaina. Zaina came for lunch in my restaurant, and then that was it. We were married after that. You know? So I think there are just connections in this world where you meet, and I have no fear in introducing you to all of my networks, because I know my networks are people with great light and want to do the right things in the world. And so I'm so proud to have and see what Zaina has created, you know, to make sure that we all bring these lights together and flood the world. Yes.
Let's do it. Let's flood the world. Kelly, you are a tremendous blessing and honor, and one of the people with one of the highest quality people in the world, truly. And Hoda wants to say something. Marwa, you too?
No, just Hoda, I think had her.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so okay, guys, first of all, I just would like to thank you very much for all of you, and I really appreciate your time and that you have taken from your time just to share with us all your valuable thoughts and all these wisdom conversation. I'm really, really, really happy and glad to be among you today. So thank you so much for all your effort and for your time, for sure. It's my pleasure to be around you, and actually I just would like to agree with everything you have just mentioned, all of you, all of the hosts and all of my colleagues around. And I just would like to just to focus on the focus on positivity, because the world around us right now actually is really a little bit negative, because we have a lot of things that not that good nowadays. But if we focus on the positive side, as one of you guys mentioned, that if we can just focus on the positive side from quarantine right now, for example, we had the chance to meet each other virtually and have this meeting and just to speak to different people from different areas with different point of view. So that was great. So actually I really, really appreciate this point, especially because me myself, I'm trying to do it right now. I'm trying to focus on positivity. As Marwa mentioned, I'm trying to surround myself with people like you. So thank you so much for giving me that chance to attend this conversation today. It was great, really. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you being here for every single person. And thank you for your comments, Huda, and for being a beacon of positivity. As Fernando says, when you manifest yourself into a beacon, your orbit becomes a reflection of you. So keep spreading that positivity, keep spreading that light to everybody who has taken the time to be here with us today, to all the incredible men, including my husband, who incessantly supports this network. It wouldn't exist without him. And to all our families who have allowed for us to take this time to be here together, to each of us for loving ourselves enough to permit ourselves this conversation. And as Kelly said, let's flood the world with consciousness. Let's flood the world with our light. let's grow this network, grow this action, grow the impact that we can have together, bring conscious minds together and spread the wisdom of consciousness. And I'm so looking forward to our next conversation, which is not next week, but the week after, with Kadzo, on the ways that we can overcome suffering. I mean, just my initial conversation with her in preparation for that call blew my mind and inspired me. So I really look forward to her voice being amplified in that session, and you being able to some of her wisdom. We'll be sending you emails on that. And then we'll be doing one with Wakani as well on ancient indigenous wisdom and how that is relevant today. And we are looking to bring together Wakani from Africa and an indigenous contributor from Latin America and one from Asia as well. So that's what we have lined up. And of course, the collaboration between Mexico, the Middle East and Africa with Fernando's organization, Crear Valor, which will start with a couple of sessions on peace building. And also the first roundtable for women leaders and influencers between the Mexico and Africa and the Middle East. So we will be sharing information about that and inviting you to what we are creating. What I've taken from this is it's time to build and build and build and create and create and create. And there's so much resource here that we can cherish and we can work with to make that happen. And whether you're choosing to do that amongst yourselves and whether we're choosing to do that through the South-South Women Network, it's all valid. So if there's anybody, maybe I'd leave it to Fernando and Marwa actually to probably close, to give us your closing minutes, and then we can all sign off from there and be in touch by email and social media and WhatsApp ahead of the next conversation.
Love you all.
Yes, Marwa.
Thank you for making this a very safe space, everybody. I want to share with you that as much as I've been speaking publicly for 16 years now in front of various audiences across the world, sharing your own story is nerve-wracking, to say the least. And it took a lot of support from a lot of people that I love, and it took you all having open hearts. And so I hope that we can go into this world with more heart and more acceptance and more awareness. Thank you so much for being here and for taking the time out of your day.
Also, thank you everyone. And I think South-South Woman is a huge project, and let's expand it and just be kind. Just be kind to everyone. Just love everyone. We know the world needs that. And we can do that in our place, in our house, with our family, with our co-workers. Just be kind and love everyone. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Sí, conecté. All right, I'm sending you all a virtual hug and love to each of your hearts, and looking forward to connecting again in 2 weeks and beyond that, and in between as well. So let's stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marwa. Thank you, Fernando.
Thanks, everyone. Lovely to see you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a great and productive week. Love you all.
Thank you, Ibiene.
Thank you. Bye.